Let's talk about Jess Phillips, Labour firebrand and all that. She has broken the rules for the third time, failing to declare her free tickets to the Chelsea Flower Show. She went to that flower show. She got complimentary entry and a free dinner last May the 20th. She didn't own up until November the 4th. That was 169 days late. They have to declare freebies within 28 days. In May 2022, she was found to have inadvertently registered income from public speaking engagements, TV appearances and newspaper articles late on 18 occasions. The following year, she was late again, informing the Commons authorities about a university lecture payment late. So on they go. Now, if you remember the free gear Keir, he was in a world of trouble as well. So tickets to Arsenal football matches against Crystal Palace and Watford. His tickets to Arsenal Palace, 720 quid. Watford, £1,416. And £18,000 advance payment from publishers HarperCollins, an advance payment, and oil painting valued at £1,500 from artist Tim Benson, and tickets to the British Kebab Awards and the Taste of London event gifted by Just Eat. All of these items were declared after the requisite 28 days, as was his wife. Remember, Lord Wahid Ali gave Keir's wife, Victoria, I think it was about £5,000 worth of free clothes. That wasn't declared until after the 28 days. That was the free gifts that earned Victoria the hilarious nickname Victoria Sponger. These people just play fast and loose with all of these rules. They always go, oh, it's an administrative error. Oh, it was an oversight. Is it about time that the Parliamentary Standards Office started imposing their rules and regulations, fining them, kicking out of the house? Because what they do is they serially just ignore these rules, and it's a recipe for disaster, if you ask me. Let's talk to social and political commentator James Melville. Well, you got the gist of that, James. We've talked about Lindsay Hoyle. You and I spoke about him last week. His story seems to go from bad to worse. Now it turns out he's been taking his wife on loads of these trips. Been to Gibraltar 4 times because he's the Chancellor of the University of Gibraltar. Well, that's not a parliamentary role. Why are we paying for 3 of his parliamentary staff to go to Gibraltar and stay at the luxury Rock Hotel? Why are we paying for this? And now we've got these stories. Jess Phillips, the Parliamentary Standards Authority, just said, oh, it's a minor infringement. We accept the apology. Same for Keir Starmer. Late with... these MPs should be brought to book. These MPs should obey these rules and be made to stop being so casual about them, don't you think?
I completely agree, and I'm glad we're on this theme a lot, Kevin, because I think it's time to almost have a UK version of Doge. The Labour Party or certainly the government are not going to do that to themselves, so therefore it's up to everyone else to try and expose it. And hopefully we might get a better government one day who will end this sort of nonsense. Now, it's not just the fact that they're taking our taxpayers' money and, indulging themselves always in good locations, funnily enough, and always in in environments that are more than pleasant, like the Chelsea Flower Show. And meanwhile, us plebs, during a cost of living crisis, combined with the Labour government who are punishing communities that previous Labour governments would never go towards, like, for instance, pensioners and the winter fuel allowance and their proposed welfare cuts on the severely disabled. I mean, when would you have ever a Labour government going down that route? And I think some of the great titans of the Labour Party in the past will look at this Labour government and think this is a diametric opposite of what Labour and the values of Labour should stand for. It's not just about the punishment policies, but it's within that it's framed around the freebie culture that they're indulging with. While they're telling us to know our place in many, many ways, they're indulging in this sort of thing. And it's also the self-entitlement. You know, instead of going, yeah, we were wrong, we apologise, this is taxpayers' money, we need to be more accountable and be better, they sort of try and self-justify it. It's almost that they're superior to everyone else. And this is one of the many reasons why the Labour government and the Labour Party are tanking in the polls, because people see right through them already, and I don't think they're going to get it back in terms of trust over the next 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, so you got this guy called, he's the Parliamentary Commissioner for Standards. His name's Daniel Greenberg. So what we're talking about with Jess Phillips, I mean, it's not just her. They all do this. They do it all the time. You know, the Prime Minister has done it. Even the Prime Minister's wife did it. They're supposed to declare all this within 28 days. No one's saying that Jess Phillips is ripping off expenses or anything like that. I just think that her, Starmer, and so many others. We've got one of Boris Johnson proving that the Tories do it well. They just play it so fast and loose. They just don't really care. They break the rules. Oh, yeah, well, it's an administrative error. And then Mr. Greenberg, Daniel Greenberg, issues a judgment saying that, yes, she has breached the rules and he is naturally disappointed, but the breach is fairly minor. You know, never mind that. What are the point of these rules if you're just going to go, oh, well, you know, you do, yeah, don't worry about it. Make these rules hard and fast and make them adhere to these rules. And if they don't, they get kicked out, suspended, they get massive fines or something like this. That house of corruption, the House of Commons, and indeed the House of Lords, the House of Parliament needs to be cleaned up. It needs a clean broom, and we need better standards there, don't you think?
Completely agree. This has been going on for a long time, and it goes back, as you touched on, to the expenses scandal, which is basically over 15 years ago. And still it carries on. Now, there's a number of different things that they think they're just better than us. You know, they're treating us like suckers. So you've got the expenses scandal back in the day, but then you've still got the freebies culture that's going on now during a cost of living crisis, with the government that's implementing forms of austerity 2.0 in different communities, whether it's farmers, pensioners, students, you know, betrayal to WASPy Union, women, and also the council tax going up and energy prices going up. All of these things are going on, combined with other things where they're saying we need to all save the planet, know our place, do a bit for net zero, as they're strutting around at top in their motorcades and their private jets. And then it goes back even further during lockdowns, Partygate. And so they're telling us on so many different issues, they're telling us to know our place and do our bits and restrict ourselves, yet they're carrying on like this on our money, taxpayers' money, during a cost of living crisis, and doing this sort of holier than thou sanctimonious nonsense.
Yeah.
And we've had enough of it. In terms of parliamentary standards, one of the things that any party should be saying is that when we get in, we're going to clean this up. We are going to clean up all of this mess and make sure that our politicians, first and foremost, are accountable and transparent and doing the right thing in terms of their expenses or second jobs or freebies or whatever. Because this is part of the reason why we don't trust our politicians, because they're behaving like this.
Yeah, listen to what Jess Phillips said in explanation. Yeah, she accepts it was her. She takes full responsibility, but I can only assume I did not do as I normally would have because of the shock of the calling of the general election. I can only fully apologise for this, and I sought to be completely transparent about it as soon as I realised my mistake. They always come out with this stuff: administrative error, oversight. I say to Daniel Greenberg, the Parliamentary Commissioner for Standards, start making your rules count. Bring in fines or something. If you told them £5,000 if you go over the 28-day limit, trust me, they would start declaring. If you don't have discipline in these areas, we have a real problem. And right now, the lack of discipline in this area resembles the lack of discipline that was around in 2009. And we know what happened then, the expenses scandal.
Yeah, completely. But this makes it even worse in some ways, because Starmer and the Labour government came in, and one of the things they were effectively saying was to clean up the mess and be more accountable and more transparent, show a government of integrity. And I think that's why people are so disappointed in this Labour government, because...
Same as the rest of them. The same as the rest of them. Listen, James, I've got to move on, but I think we've made our point very well. Always good to talk to you. That's James Melville, social and political commentator.